Thank you so much for your patience. I'm a little bit rolled out, but I'm coming back in. As Deborah said, I come from Burkina Faso. It is one of the smallest countries. It has 60 tribes in there, and they each speak their language, and they each have their own custom, and they each have their wonderfulness and their madness. It's true. Yeah. If you've been to Burkina or to Africa, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so the Dakar people live actually in 3 countries: Burkina Faso, Ghana, Ivory Coast. There is a small minority in Cameroon as well. They're not any different from any indigenous people. They live together, they eat together, they even go to the bathroom together, having very meaningful conversations. True. They value their elders and they praise their children because the children are the past, they are the present, and they are also the future. And so, as far as I can tell, there has not been a species that has survived without their children. And so I think there is some kind of wisdom there, that if we are able to support and be behind our children, the future looks brighter than when we don't. Because whatever we overlook, we still have to pay for it anyway. So, and so this is the culture I come from. Very chaotic, very fun-loving, and very ritual-based, very community-minded, because everything is communal. Nothing is ever separate, including whatever you think is private. Your underwears become public properties. True. I was sharing with Deborah yesterday that when I leave my underwears and I go back the next year, I am for sure to not find them because somebody else has claimed them. Yeah. And so today the topic being about prosperity. One would think prosperity, somebody coming from the poorest country in the world and talking about prosperity. That's kind of odd, isn't it? Well, there is more to prosperity than what the World Bank measure prosperity by. There is more to prosperity than what the FME or the Wall Street all estimate prosperity to be by. And so that's what actually excites me, because there is such a diversity in prosperity that no single person will ever enjoy only monetary prosperity if they don't have other prosperities. And because all this prosperity overlap and they all feed into each other, you cannot really have one without the other. And part of the reason why the world is crazy today is that we have been told to focus onto one area, and then the other areas suffer. And then we wonder why we are crazy. Yeah? And so prosperity, in my tradition, is the capacity to open up and to receive what the universe brings to you. So be it community, be it relationship, be it longevity, be it health, you name it. All these different prosperities are very important, but are we really able to receive them? That's another question. But before I go into it, I think it's very important that we talk about receiving versus taking. Because a lot of us are very happy not receiving anything. Because we've been taught that if you receive something from someone, then you owe them the rest of your life. And so we manage every single time to dodge receiving anything at all, so that they owe to us forever, and we don't ever have to owe to them. But we are human beings. We have to take things in, and things have to come out as well. Just like when you eat food. If you don't let go on the other end, you cannot eat more, right? Well, to receive is to actually gift someone with a blessing. Why? Because whatever they are giving, there is an assumption that there is plenty from where it's coming from. And so by receiving, you enable that gift within them to grow bigger and to flow better. And so you are giving them a blessing while blessing yourself. And so to receive is a blessing. Now, take is different. Taking means that there is an assumption that we don't have enough. So therefore, I have to fight for my peace, regardless of whether there is an even share or not. And so I make myself kind of, what is the word? Well, it kind of went out of the window. It'll come sometime. You make yourself, it's not deserving. There is another word for it. Anyway, so that it's as if the world owes to you. And so therefore, you help yourself whether the person is willing to give to you or not. Yeah? And if you even see the analogy of receiving and taking, it's completely different. Right? How do you receive? How? Open heart. By how exactly? Your hands opened up to receive and to take. Yeah? So there's almost a force that goes with it. And so when we're talking about abundance and prosperity, whatever I talk about, I want you to listen to it with an heart and a heart and an ear that's about receiving. And that to receive is to also help others to receive. And when we don't receive, whatever battery we have is going to go down, and it's going to go down so far that it's going to become dysfunctional. Yeah? So prosperity in my tradition is a culmination of different energies working. As I said earlier on, it is about longevity, it is about health, it is about community, it is about relationship, it is about work, our gift to the world, it is about our children and all of that. And I say that because there is a tendency for us to think that we are here just as tourists. And so nothing is really connected. Everything is kind of bits and pieces. I do this today, I get bored. I do something else. But if we really look at it from an indigenous perspective, maybe one of the reasons why you're learning to grow food today may be about your health prosperity, right? But we don't think about it in those terms because our mind tends to think about things as separate. But our coming here is even more important. So I want to start with that. There are energies in the land. You can call it spirit, you can call it God, goddess, whatever term you want to put to it. You can call it the community that has been out praying for your arrival. They have sent out an SOS requesting that you arrive to this place that we call Earth, which is basically a place of experiment. We come with our loads of stuff, we experiment, it works, we go away happy. If it doesn't, we choose to come back to try it again. Yeah? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's part of the experiment here. Yeah? And so not a single person here is an accident. We all here because someone, something, somewhere has prayed and has called us here. So even if you were found in a trash can, even if your parent thought they didn't want you, something wanted you here. And that's why you're here. And so your coming here is a blessing to the world. And you must see it as such. Because there is a lot that we often take for granted. Some of us, the kind of medicine that we come with is custom made for a particular area. So therefore we grow to only live in that one area and not move. Some of us is bigger than that. So it gives us what I call the moving bug. You go to this one place, you share some of it, it's not enough, you go to another, and then you keep going. Kind of like, I don't know if you have that story here, kind of like the Johnny Appleseed, taking it to different places and planting it as you go. And there are some of us that the medicine is actually so big that we don't belong to this one place we call Earth. Some of that medicine is beyond this earth. And so we're no longer citizen of the UK, the US, or Burkina Faso. We are now citizens of the world. And so we may find it more difficult to adjust living to a one particular place because we don't feel at home. And that's because we cannot feel at home anywhere. Our home is everywhere, and it's so vast that it's very difficult to narrow it to one place. Excuse me. So if you're one of those people, don't feel like the world has abandoned you. It's just that you took on too big. And maybe next lifetime, you might want to marry a little bit more. So at least this homebody feels home to you. Yeah? And so, so when we go from that basis, then we kind of have to look at what does it mean to then be here with all these gifts that some of us are struggling with, and some of us don't even have a clue, and some of us it's such a huge burden that you want to run away from. Yeah? So I'll leave that piece alone, because we're going to come back to it. And so the kind of medicine we bring often determine how fast, how long we are going to be here. So our life, I'm talking about longevity, prosperity. Thank you, love. Because our life is like a river. It kind of meanders into different kind of places. Some of them are very straight. And that's how that river is. It's fast moving. It has all kind of waves. Maybe ocean-like waves, but it's a direct shot. So when we have that kind of longevity, we live life fully. We do things well, and our life tends to end very early. Okay? That's a fast river. So now, when you have a meandering river, sometimes you want to get off the river because it's too long. That's the case with people who are here for a very, very long time. And they pray for something to take them out of this world. And nothing wants to take them out of here. Now, some of us, there are extra pieces that come with it. That sometime when something realizes that the river is running out and there's no more recourse, sometimes there are beings that throw a curve to the river. They actually dig, like curve into it, so that it wouldn't end. And those beings can be your ancestors, the spirit of a place. It can also be your tree in your backyard, your dog or your cat, who realize that actually this person has such a great medicine that we do not want them to go. So we are basically going to give them something to keep them here. And it's a very sweet gift, because sometimes you end up with what I call the survival guilt. Why did this person has to go? And I have to be left here to bear witness to something I'd rather not bear witness to. It's a good question. Have you ever thought that maybe that being that gave you that ticket or their ticket realizes that the potency of the medicine that you are bringing is so important for the well-being of this world that they do not want you to leave here? So maybe there is a room here to begin to have appreciation for the kind of ticket that we have been given, and to actually live in such a way that they live vicariously through us. Am I talking dagger to you? Am I making sense at all? Yeah? And so, so in the Dagara tradition, the first wish that you give to any newborn or at New Year is longevity first. Because whatever medicine you bring in, they want that medicine to last. So it's not a fear of death. That's not what I'm talking about. Because we're talking about death as if it was a friend sitting in your lap. But it is the capacity to be able to use whatever river that you have been given, or whatever river that they're willing to bend and dent for you to its fullest. So at the end, you don't end up being bitter about not using the flow and the curves to serve better in the world. So that's why even if you have community prosperity and you don't have longevity prosperity, nothing is ever going to come out of anything. And I often talk about my brother who had one of those fast rushing rivers. He lived life very full. And by the age of 30, he was done. And when you look at his life, it's like there's not a moment of regret. Joyous events, he celebrated. Failures, my God, that was like the icing on the cake for him. And it was beautiful. He found beauty in everything. And so, after his death, everybody was like, oh my God, how could we have missed that? But that's the kind of child he was. Make him a bet and you are sure to lose. Nobody knows how, but that's how he was. And so some of us have that and we are not appreciating it. And life demands that we begin to appreciate what has been given to us, even if it doesn't feel good to us. But there is a need to begin to appreciate it. Yeah? I want to talk about community prosperity, because most of us walk around feeling homeless, feeling alone, feeling disconnected. To be honest, I actually learned more about community being away from my community. Because if you ask me when I came out of Africa at first, which most people did, how do you make community? I say, come live. Africans don't use too many words to describe things. Because all the different experiences are lived. And so if you want anything, live it, then you will know it. Yeah? So to try to have a conversation with an African about a particular topic, it's like, what are they keeping secret? It's just that they don't have a language for it. And it's kind of like, how do you describe being English when you have not lived outside of England? You can't. There are sets of values that are so much a part of your life that it's like, do I have to take myself out of myself to look at myself? It's kind of that. But when you are away from your own culture, you can look back at it and go, that's different. Now, why are these people doing things this way? And they look at you and they ask you the same question. Why are you doing things this way you do?